So 123 Churchill Crescent is the first actual property that Faith owned.
Yeah, exactly. After outgrowing the Orange Hall on Ross Street, they rented a tent and put it over here on the property while they were building the very first building project that you see behind us.
Yeah, on September 16th, 1951, they held their very first service in this chapel. 9 months after the church was founded, they've gone from a living room, a rented hall, purchased property, a tent, and built their first building in less than a year.
Yeah, it's absolutely astounding. And then the church continued to grow, and they ended up adding another side of the church over here called the annex.
Yeah. So the church continued to grow during that time. Pastor Balfour Pittaway remained here until about 1964, and after him they called their next pastor was Donald Fitchett.
Yeah, Don Fitchett was a young pastor from out in the country who came and had a huge ministry with young people, which has kind of become a flavor of our church for all these years.
Yeah, ministry to youth has been definitely a strong theme for Faith for years, and we've heard stories. So Donald Fitchett started in 1964. We hear stories of like a revival happening somewhere in those mid 60s, 65, 66, where the church really began to grow.
Yeah, there was. I interviewed some people from back in the day, years ago, and they said that they had invited an evangelist from Ireland to come for a week of meetings. And during that week of meetings, there was one particular night when God moved so powerfully on the congregation that the entire congregation was literally on the floor, on their hands and knees, crying out to God, to the place where the evangelist and the pastor had to go around and encourage people to eventually go home. And what was so amazing, it was after that the church had such exponential growth that they had to build building project number 3, which is just around the corner on Chestnut Street.
Yeah, so from here, so by 1966, Donald Fitchett's in place. The church had to go to 2 services even after their expansion.
Yeah.
And realized, on this property, they were running out of room to grow already. And so began the next dream of purchasing over just around the corner on Chestnut Street to build the church, what I always knew as the church in the valley.
Yeah.
So behind us is the annex they built after a few years of being here, and the church continued to grow. And a couple of the other notable things happened while they were here on Churchill Crescent. They started a radio ministry back in the 1950s.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and then they also became an active part of what was called the Fellowship of Independent Baptist Churches, which eventually merged with another group called the Fellowship of, or the Union of Regular Baptist Churches, which was renamed to the Fellowship of Evangelical Baptist Churches, which is the group we belong to today. So we've been one of the founding members of that group for a long time.
Yeah, a founding member of the Fellowship of Evangelical Baptist Churches, which we commonly just call the Fellowship.
Yep.
But Faith has been and is a part of a group of over 500 churches across Canada.
Right, so over 300 right here in Ontario. And the church here continued to grow to the place that they had to move.
Yeah.
Again.
So around the corner.
On to building project number 3.
Here we go.